This week on Curated Consciousness, we're going to be exploring community and how community plays an important role in our lives.
And how do we pick these communities? How do we know who we're in these communities with? And even though we have 3 or 4 major communities we're all in, there's all these micro communities too. So how do you navigate these situations and places and know who you're with? And if you still want to be in the room with them, where are you with them?
It's called a third place. We all have a third place. When I was much younger, it was the bar. It was downtown. Go downtown, and I knew the people I would see. I knew the bartender knew exactly what drink to give me. And then later it was the YMCA, where I took yoga classes and went to the gym, and there was childcare, and I was there every single day almost. And now it's the studio. I go to the studio every day, and not just to teach, but to practice also. And that there is this third place, and how that shifts depending upon the room that my consciousness is in. This is curated consciousness. So we all have a consciousness. There's different layers or levels. It's not really like an up and down thing. It's a spiral where you move out, expand, and then there's some contraction that goes on. But we all have a state of consciousness that we're in. And what I found about the different third places that I've gone to is at the bar, for example, everybody has the same state of consciousness. Everybody's there for one of two reasons, maybe even both: to drink or maybe to get laid. Can you think of a third reason? I don't know. Maybe listen to music if you're a music person. That's what I went for, if I'm being honest. I always went to open mic night. Same state of consciousness, right? And pretty contracted one. Not that I'm not trying to offend anybody who the bar is their third place, right? There's
the bar has been my third place before.
Yes.
And now I would say,
and it may be again. I don't know.
Right. But when you're describing the bar, you're describing it as a place where we are going to seek outside of ourselves 100%. The one reason, this down into one reason. I'm seeking for something outside of myself. Drinking or sex or whatever. Yeah. I'm going into this third room to take me away from myself in that instance. And that is something that in this conscious world we're trying to stop doing, is running away from it.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing that that's the room that I've been in and that I may go in again. And like with the YMCA, that was super practical. It was 2 hours of free childcare included with my membership every single day. And I could go and swim and go to a class. And then when I got done, I could hang out with the kids there. So it was very practical. That was my mindset. That was my state of consciousness there, is that I have these little people and I need to do something with them. And I need to also take care of myself. And now my state of consciousness is a little different. I'm more interested in learning who I am and what am I here to do and what are the things that light me up, and doing more of those things. And I find this yoga studio a very conducive place to do that, because it is, when you go to a yoga studio or even a gym, it's like a big pool of different states of consciousness. Everybody's there, I guess, for a little bit of a different reason. Some similar to me, they're working on themselves, but some for more aesthetics, trying to look good naked. Some are there for social. I work alone all day. I need to go and talk to people. I know when I was going to the gym a lot and I didn't have one here at my home, I wanted to talk to people. I would talk to random people. So the third place, what is your third place? What does that kind of say about my state of consciousness right now? And even reflecting on where I've come from and then where I'm going. And in all of these instances, the important thing to notice is who's around me? Who are these people who are on the same wavelength as me and the same state of consciousness, or at least looking to go to the same third place as me, even if that is the only common thread. We may have nothing else in common except for we like going to the same place for our own personal reasons. And how can I move forward in that room that I'm in and relax a little bit? Like, this is where I'm at. So often I find that for me personally, I'm always seeking that next step, that next thing. And nowadays I'm more trying to just be content, santosha, with where I'm at. And where am I at exactly, so that the next time that my consciousness evolves or shifts, that I can guide that a little bit in the direction that I really want to go.
I feel that so hard right now because the other day I said to somebody, have I really not realized where I've been all this time? Has it not been this? And what I meant by it, I am tired. There are children, there is work, there is life, there is everything. And I really didn't feel like I was working that much or doing that much. And I have worn myself out. And right now, when I'm looking at my calendar and I'm saying, nope, I'm not going to do that. Nope, I'm not going to do that. Nope, I'm not going to take energy there. I'm too tired for that. Part of me is like feeling horrible. But the other part of me is thinking to myself and saying, well, the room I'm in right now is a place where I need rest and I have to take it. And in time, that should sway. Sometimes we write ourselves a story, we choose these paths, and we end up, hey, whether I officially knew what I was choosing, because everything leads up to a point, whether I officially knew what I was choosing or not, here I am. And in order to move forward, I kind of just need to take a moment and pause so I can assess where I am. Come back to one of my favorite things to say, where am I in space and time? Because that's going to have a huge effect on what's next. So my consciousness right now is very much like, I'm tired, but I can see it. And I can say, okay, you're in the place where you take rest.
And I think that this even applies when those out of the box moments happen in life, right? The other day I showed up for my 6:30 a.m. class around 6. I popped up all my supplements, drank a bunch of water, started cleaning, and started sipping on my coffee, and then I threw up. I didn't know if I was sick because it didn't dawn on me that maybe the fact that I was up early and I did all those things maybe turned my stomach. And the community that showed up that day was so gracious. I was just honest with them. I was like, and they could see it on me. You know, when you throw up, you kind of get your face gets puffy. Like I
Yeah.
cried. It was awful. And I told him, I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to get anybody sick. And they were all super gracious and they even chatted out in the parking lot for a few moments before they went on with their day. And like that's the kind of community that I get to be around right now. Is that even when life throws me a curveball, like throwing up uncontrollably, there's a community around me that's like, you know what, that's okay. We're gonna move on. You don't actually have to do this today. And that's kind of a simple example, but big major things can happen in life.
Even that little example
Mm-hmm.
of just that building the room is like, if you come into a room that's held up like this, when I'm in a space like I am now, this room is actually helping to hold me up. Well, no, I'll do that for you, right? But one day later, when I'm on the other side of it and I can see that they might be lost in space, oh no, I'll do that for you. Like, we can be the gracious ones, a space where we all take turns being the gracious.
A rising tide floats all the boats if you're in the right community. Community and our connection to each other is everything. And I would just encourage you, if you know what we're talking about seems foreign to you and maybe you don't know a community like this or you're not in one, keep seeking them out. Keep showing up to different things and finding places that really fit.
Especially this time period of life, there's a lot of other people seeking, usually in this age group too, because it is when things start to seem slower and it's just the timing of how it happens. So keep checking around because you're likely to find other people who've tried other things too. And that's the other importance of community, is because I, as we've talked about the human design of a projector, I remember lots of things. Okay. There are a lot of things that I do not have to try myself. In other words, some people will say, well, I tried to tell him, but he has to learn his lessons on his own. Amanda, her little Manny Gen self, has to learn her lessons on her own. She has to go through them and feel the feelings.
Oh, I don't know anything unless I am in it knee deep. And then I know without a doubt.
She has to go in it, where I will stay back and I will watch. And so for me, like, one of the things that community gives me is the ability to exchange what works and what doesn't work. So I don't have to go through and try a bunch of things that make me more exhausted or that won't work because people are more similar to me. When you find people who are having similar thoughts, similar levels of
But
consciousness
even
as
if they're
you,
not similar, it still expands your
but they
aperture.
have the same, but you're on some baseline together. What I'm saying is,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be some, yes, there's going to be some type of connection probably to something that you've done. Or, yes, you're right. It could be a whole new, brand new introduction, but it's still going to be people who have this part of their life that matches similar thoughts to you about holding space, about community, about yoga, about whatever that third place is, that maybe you can trust them more, or you can relate to them. You've held space with them, you've interacted with them, you're more likely to share with them or hear from them. And then you can pick those things.
Well, and also what's coming to my mind right now is that concept of parigraha, which is non-attachment. Don't hoard or think that I have to, oh, this is my community, I have to stay here all the time. Or there's a whole other end of that spectrum that I have no community and can never find my community. And so I'm constantly maybe ghosting all the communities that I've found. So know that we want to find that balance to where I know that I'm content in this moment, in this present moment, that this is a good space for me. I got good people around me, but that can change and that new fresh water will move in and that I don't have to cling to the community and I don't have to prematurely ghost any communities. Because sometimes I find, because I've ghosted things, and that when I do that, a lot of times that thing was already ending. And had I not ghosted it, it just would have came to its natural end and no bridges would have been burned and that would still be a community that I can go back to. But because I ghosted it, there's always going to be that weird angst when I show up, if I ever did show up again. And so this can create obstacles in my room that I'm in, which we're talking about the room being our consciousness. If I'm constantly setting up all these barriers, like because I'm ghosting things or because I'm clinging to things and I'm pulling them closer to me. And so I'm creating like this barrier around me. I can never get to know the full room that I'm in. I have to allow this ebb and flow and understand how I work in the larger ecosystem and just be that. Sometimes I can be an outlier and I can be the hermit and like flow out of things. And people who know me well enough know that I'm not actually ghosting, that I need a little downtime and then I'm going to flow right back in.
I just know when you were in, I got in my own head because I was thinking about, oh, you started it with something about being able to shift rooms and being okay with shifting rooms and moving to new rooms in a way and coming in and out. I do think, yeah, I would. She's right. I do have to caution to be good, to be careful, I guess, to be cognizant of what happens when you burn these bridges. Because I'm like, I don't do that, and I'm sitting here and I'm listening to what she's saying, and I'm like, okay. So I finally realized something about myself that I think is not something that I love, and I decided to stop doing it. Well, then for some reason now I've passed judgment on myself. Now I'm like, well, they do this. I'm not going to talk to them. I used to smoke cigarettes. So I quit smoking because to me it was bad. It was not good for me. I quit. Now when I see somebody smoking, they should stop smoking. If I was still smoking, in my head I'd be like, hey brother, what's up? Like, how you doing? What is this? And now, and I probably have said something kind of like comments about it. Like, just if we didn't have to stop for you to smoke. And I'm burning bridges about shit that would just blow right over my head. If I just waited a little bit longer past me quitting smoking, I probably wouldn't be so bitter, which bitterness is the sign that I'm not living my authentic self, actually, in this human design world. But it would have just went on its way. And instead, like, I've made some huge judgment in my mind about smoking and all the horrible things. Like, it does bad things just as bad as everything else.
Well, that can happen. We're talking about consciousness being a room, and that when I expand my consciousness, I'm able to see more of the room. And so, like, just with your example, going from being a smoker to a not smoker, well, you haven't expanded enough consciousness to know that that actually wasn't a good habit for you. But you can also see the whole room and tell that, oh, there's the smoker's corner over there. And I have a choice. I can judge that corner of the consciousness room, or I don't necessarily have to participate. I could participate in it. I could go back to smoking, or there's anywhere in between.
What I've been trying to do now, so I guess now that I've because I have put myself into this place where I feel like,
Okay.
so what I try to do now is think about the way I come to peace with anything that I have done before that people are still doing. The way I try to think of it is, and I still got here. Like I was that smoker, and look, that was my path here.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows if any of those people in that room are smoking a cigarette with their next collective consciousness partner on the couch. Maybe there's other people meeting and their change happens after. Maybe that's not their change because there's other things in life they have to deal more with. But I think for me, every time I come back to something I used to do, because you can create an enemy not just of the other people, but of yourself. Is it
Right, like judging
yourself when you
or
realize,
reliving it.
yeah, when you realize like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much I might have been stealing somebody's time with my stealing of time. I didn't know how much I
Or
might
stealing
have
my
been.
own time by thinking about it
Yeah.
and making a big deal out of nothing. That's a huge lesson that I learned early on was there are no big deals unless somebody's dying. Please take that seriously. But honestly, in life, there are very few big deals. And if I can walk through my day to day like that, then when the big deal does show up, I'm able to respond much more level headedly for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'd love to end this with kind of the little passage that got us going on this conversation. Yeah. A safe canoe journey requires timing and patience, for you can only go as fast as the winds will take you. And after you notice where you are, who is on the journey with you, sometimes there's nothing you can do but focus on the direction you wish to go, chart your course, and allow the winds to carry you. Thank you for joining today. Let us know in the comments if you like this episode and any topics you'd like us to share on that have to do with consciousness. See you next time.